Hey Floss Tube, this is Stephanie, the Ivy House Crafter, and I'm coming to you with my second Stitch With Me video. Today I am working on While Lilies Flourish. This is one of the patterns that I designed. This is what it will look like. The coloring is off. There we go. Right now I'm working on, there we go, the windows. I don't know if the focus is where it should be. Anyway. You might or might not hear lots of background noise. My kids are playing downstairs and they have strict instructions to stay downstairs, but they might not necessarily do it quietly. They've been doing too much TV and computer lately, so today we are screen free. They would probably be a lot quieter if I had the TV on or something for them. But sometimes you just got to disconnect. And the kids have been, getting fussy with each other and fighting and getting mouthy and stuff. So I decided they needed a day without any TV or computer. It's going pretty well. I have also been limiting my screen time today so far. And I got some cross stitch done already. I got some knitting done. I even put in a load of laundry. It's amazing what you can get done when you aren't staring at a screen, and I need to work on that a lot because I spend too much time on my phone. Let's see. What fun stuff can we talk about? Oh, last night we had a Utah stitching meetup. We were down at the Taylorsville Library, and there were 4 of us there, and it was nice to just sit and spend an hour with other cross-stitchers. It was a nice little group. And sometimes we chatted, and sometimes we sat stitching in companionable silence. I was working on this piece there too. Houses are nice for stitching on while you're out, especially if you're going to be chatting. I don't talk a whole lot while I stitch, but I try to talk a little bit, and I like to listen in on the conversation. And houses are nice because it's a bunch of straight lines and filling in. So it's a fairly simple pattern for stitching when your focus isn't necessarily only on the stitching. And that's why I chose to work on this today as well. I don't really even have to look at the pattern for this part. I'm just filling in the windows. so much much fun watching this piece come together, knowing that no one has ever stitched this before. I'm the first person to stitch this particular part of this pattern. I know that there's at least one other person that is currently working on this pattern. Started it for Mania. I follow her on Instagram. I don't remember her name. Oops. Went down the wrong spot. But she started in the corner, and I started in the middle. So I haven't gotten to where she is yet, and she hasn't gotten to where I am yet. So to the best of my knowledge, I am the first person ever to stitch on this house. So that's kind of fun. And I'm enjoying working on it. Houses are just fun to stitch. I like stitching houses. This is on 18 count Vintage Country Mocha. And I'm using one strand of floss for a little bit of a sparse look to it. Center better, there we go. Some of the flosses I'm using more than one strand. I've talked about this in previous floss tube videos, like the orange and the yellow. I'm using 2 strands because when I just use one, they really want to blend in with the fabric, and it's really hard to see them. In the right light, they're okay, but most of the time I'm not in the right light. So I have gone ahead and been floss here. Gone ahead and been stitching those with 2 strands. Bargello tuck this sucker and start in on a new strand. There we go. My hands are kind of shaky today. I don't know why. Chinese thread book. I showed this in my first video. Maybe I'll go ahead and show it again. This is something called a Zhenxianbao. It's a Chinese thread book. Traditional for embroiderers in 1 or 2 specific regions. My goodness, what are they doing down there? I think that's Matthew. That's the 19-month-old making funny noises. He likes to growl. I don't know if you can hear it, but I certainly can. So in certain regions of China, this is traditionally what embroiderers put their needlework in. Mine is very small. They traditionally are much larger, but it's kind of embroidery. I mean, not embroidery, origami. And there's a whole bunch of different pockets. There's the main pocket. And I don't really keep a lot in here, but I do keep a little, I took it out, but I keep a little crochet hook for tucking the ends into my bobbins. Let's see, I don't have anything in here, but that's my Chinese dragon. Here's where I keep my needle threaders, and there's my blue jay. Not currently in here, but this is where I keep my scissors. And that's my koi. And obviously here is where I keep my orts. And that's a phoenix. and then periodically I just empty this into the trash when it gets full. I don't, I guess sometimes when I have extra floss or something, I'll put it in one of these top pockets. Oh, and there's some beading needles for in case I need to bead something. As far as I know, I don't have anything in these pockets, but they're pretty fun. And I also don't have anything in these pockets, but they're my favorite anyway because they twist open and shut. And they're colorful because that's how I made them. Ta-da! So that's my Chinese thread book. I made it before I started cross-stitching. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't have any plans for it. I saw something like this on Pinterest and then YouTube and you know, fell down the rabbit hole, and I was like, I have to make one. I want one of those so bad. I don't know what I'm using it for, but I'm making it. And then when I picked up cross stitch again, it has come in very handy for keeping my cross stitch things in. Except now it is starting to get worn out. And soon I might have to make a new one. I'll keep using this one until it is dead and gone because I love it. And it just works really well. It just keeps all my stuff together. And well, it does what it's designed to do. I'm still working on getting the best setup for my Stitch With Me's. Today I am... Oh, I put it in the wrong hole again. Today I'm kneeling in front of the couch and I have my stitchy stuff set up in front of the, or set up on the couch, and the camera on a tripod next to me so that I can peek over to the screen and make sure that you're seeing what you need to be seeing. There we go. There. You'd think that with Ada it would be easier to get it in the proper hole, but that is not always the case, is it? Let's see. Air conditioner just kicked on. That feels so nice. Maybe I should start doing tags or something during my Stitch With Me's. I don't talk a lot generally. I am not a talker. In a group, I am the one that sits quietly and just listens to what everybody else has to say. Every once in a while, I will pop in with a witty remark or something. But I don't usually do most of the talking. So I don't know why I thought Stitch With Me's would be a good idea. Here, watch me stitch while I talk. I don't stitch and talk at the same time. That's okay. One time in the 7th grade. Okay, so we moved to Japan halfway through the 7th grade. Well, when I was in 7th grade. And homeschooled the first semester of 7th grade because, you know, we were in the middle of a big move. But then I went to the public school for the second semester. And I didn't know anybody, and everybody already had all their groups of friends all sorted out and everything. And there was one girl my age at church, and so at school I sat with her and her friends, but I never said anything because I was really shy and I didn't really feel comfortable around them yet. Anyway, after several weeks, maybe even a couple months of, you know, sitting with them, I finally felt comfortable enough around them to, you know, let loose a little bit and add to the conversation. And so I responded to something somebody said. You know, by that point, they all were just, they knew, okay, she's just the girl who sits here and never says anything. I don't know. I mean, some of them probably didn't even know my name. But, so I popped in with a witty response to what somebody had said, and everybody just stopped talking and looked at me in shock. And one girl was like, oh, she talks! And, you know, they all burst out laughing, and it was kind of humiliating. I, after that, did not feel comfortable talking in that group anymore. It was a little bit after that that another girl moved in. This was shortly before the school year ended, but she was a little bit of an outcast as well, just because, again, nobody knew her. People said she was a little weird. She didn't talk to anybody. But then one day during, I don't know, what do you call it in middle school? Was it recess? I don't know. It was after lunch when we all went outside. And she came over to me and said hi, and we started talking. I do a lot better in, like, one-on-one conversations, but so she came over and introduced herself to me, and we got to talking, and we ended up being, I'm off screen. We ended up being great friends. We were best friends for about a year. And then, as happens when you live on a military base and go to a military school and you're in a different country, her dad was transferred and she moved away. And that was heartbreaking. Oh man, because we, during that year, you know, during the 8th grade, we were best friends. And we would go play together in the at the park, or it was really snowy in the winter, and we lived on a cul-de-sac. She lived just a few houses down from me. And they would, you know, when it snowed, everyone was responsible for clearing their section of the cul-de-sac. And everyone would just pile the snow up in the grassy circle in the middle of the cul-de-sac. And so we would go and play in these huge piles of snow. We dig tunnels through them and set up little houses for our toy horses because we were in the 8th grade and we loved horses. I keep pulling it down. And yeah, so we were just... She made my 8th grade year wonderful. I was able to open up and make more friends, and we had like a group of friends, and we would all go and sit in our favorite teacher's classroom for lunch together, and some of us were in a play together, and yeah, it was wonderful. And then she moved away. The happy ending of that story, though, I'm just babbling. I have no plan for what I'm saying or anything, but later we found each other on Facebook, and now we are Facebook friends. And she's got an adorable little daughter and a loving husband, and she has a horse. And 8th grade me would be so jealous. I'm not as obsessed with horses as I was in middle school, but she kept her love for horses, and so that's really neat. Gosh. You would think I could get the needle in the right hole because they're so big. Oh well. Oh, let's see. There we go. What other lovely things can I talk about? Talked about my thread book. I talked about my propensity for being quiet and surprising people when I actually say something. I don't know, what else is there about me? Oh, I'm excited to have a craft night tonight. This is different from our first Thursday of the month craft night. That is just, come and spend several hours, bring whatever you happen to be working on, and visit and just have a good time. Third Thursdays are a little different. My feet are falling asleep. For third Thursdays, there's an actual craft set up, and everybody goes and kind of does the same craft. Last month, we did cards. There's a lady in our congregation that does Stampin' Up, and so we got to use all her stuff and make cards, and that was fun. Today, this evening, another lady in our ward has I forget what it's called. It's the machine that does the vinyl stuff. I don't know, is it Cricut or Silhouette? I don't know what she has, but she's got one. And so we are doing 4th of July painted blocks with little vinyl things on them. I think one of them says like USA and has some stars or something, and one of them is some firecrackers, and one of them says I love America. Anyway, they're just these little sets of wooden blocks that you paint and then put the vinyl on, and you can put them on your mantle or, you know, wherever you display stuff like that. I put mine on the mantle. So that should be fun. And there's usually snacks, like there was cookies last time. And so that's always fun. I like me some cookies. I shouldn't eat me some cookies as much as I do. But that's neither here nor there. I enjoy getting out of the... How do I keep doing that? I would just fudge it, but I'm not going to. It's all just part of my process, right? We'll just call that part of my process. Because I want my stitches to look nice. It's usually not a problem, but with the way that I have the camera set up and my cross stitch set up and everything, I'm not as close to the fabric as I normally would be. And so it's, I guess, easier to get the needle through the fabric in slightly the wrong place, unfortunately. Man, my feet really are falling asleep because, like I said, I'm kneeling in front of the couch. This has been interesting. Next time I'll try a different setup, because I don't think I want to do it like this again. Eventually I'll get it figured out. There, caught it that time. I was almost in the wrong hole again. Limit on my camera. It stops a little before half an hour, I think. It just stops recording, and I have learned to work around that in my floss tube videos and stuff. With a stitch with me, it's easiest to just keep it under half an hour, and then I can just go and upload this. And because I'm not patching bits of film together, I don't have to spend forever exporting it and uploading it and stuff. So thank you for listening to my rambling, if you have been listening to my rambling. And I will see you next week for a regular floss tube update. Happy stitching, everybody. Bye.